Welcome back to In Their Own Words. I'm your host, Kim Kotis, and I'm joined today by Jodi Clock. Jodi's the author of Navigating the Eldercare Journey Without Going Broke.
You know, Kim, and while we're sitting here, the one thing I really just kind of want to bring to play, which you haven't asked me, but a lot of people have kind of either quietly behind the scenes thought, you know, who is she and why should we even listen to what she has to say? And by saying that, I think that's just it. I have no vested interest in this. Okay, so in maybe Muskegon County, I might have a little bit of a vested interest because we have a family-owned and operated funeral home. But, you know, we're talking a 25-mile radius or Muskegon County. I've been asked to speak on a national level, and I've been fortunate enough to have some positive feedback from coast to coast on this book. And the beauty of it is that it's in layman's language. It breaks it down, not into legalese. It talks about, like I had mentioned, a storyline. There are key points. There are action plans. There's a lot of white space. There's a glossary. But there are nuggets that you can go in and just take and make that happen. And like I said, I'm not an attorney, but I know a lot of good attorneys. Conversely, I know a lot of not so good attorneys for this field, but good people and good attorneys. Just like a doctor, you know, if you've got cancer, you want to run screaming to an oncologist, right? So, you know, it's someone out there with a disinterested interest, if you will, or you can act as an advocate for seniors because, you know, unlike the generation ahead of us, the generation ahead of us just took somebody's word for granted. Sure. Baby boomers have changed everything. And we're going to change our journey. We're going to control it. And, you know, we're going to probably change the way that we die. Yep, we all die. But, you know, years ago, everybody went to the nursing home to die. Well, hospice has done a beautiful thing. And our generation is the one that pioneered hospice. So now they're going to go home and they're going to have caregivers. And we want to make sure people don't die broke. And, you know, you spend your whole life with your financial planner, do the right thing. Sometimes, God forbid, they've got all the money in the coffee can or wherever they have those little stashes, because they're what? They are afraid of not having a dime. And so that's my impetus. The whole thing about it is to minimize exposure, minimize risk, align people with the right professionals, know the right questions to ask, and then make their own informed choices and decisions. And, you know, people listen to their neighbors or they listen to their grandparents or, you know, this happened to them, and they hear all these horror stories or myths. You know, they just need sound advice and ways to go check out to make sure that advice is correct.
That's terrific and so valuable to know. Let's talk a little bit about your national outreach. We really haven't talked about that. As you mentioned, this wasn't just written for the Muskegon audience, but what were we missing out there in terms of any other guidance? You know, is this a first of its kind? I mean, you're a first-time author, and I applaud you for that. But did you just find that there was really nothing out there for the general public to understand this? There's a lot of information out there. Like I've said, over my career, I've been fortunate enough to travel and been with a lot of large organizations that have been in the death care profession. And so I've seen all the different practices that happen coastally on end-of-life rituals. And I've also sat with individuals who are pre-planning their funerals. So what that enabled me to do is to build a very solid network of senior centers, of attorneys, of insurance companies, of hospitals, all of those things that are in that end-of-life arena or profession. And this kind of touches on a little bit of each one of them that is broad-stroked enough. And so they're wanting to get it out in a common language for blended America. So the things that are out there today really aren't relevant. And so by no means am I the first or the last, but I think that I did a pretty good shot of hitting blended America that's applicable from all ages, coast to coast, and is applicable in the majority of the professions.
So ideally, it'd be great to have a larger impact and maybe help to remove some of the roadblocks that exist, maybe state by state. There's some different rules. We're all seeing the decisions on Social Security and Medicare, but what does it come down to our making sound decisions for ourselves?
That is absolutely correct. All of those entities may or may not be there when it's time for us to hit the end phases of our life. But really, at the end of the day, much like anything else, we need to just rely on ourselves.
Well, thank you, Jodi. It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure to talk to you, and I want you all to keep in mind and go out and look for and get navigating the Eldercare Journey without going broke.
On Amazon.com. It's available at Barnes & Noble. It'll be on WindyCityPublishers.com, my website, JodiClock.com. Obviously, you can call the funeral home, and we're going to be doing some book signings and some things locally, and then we're going to see where it takes us.
Thank you so much, Jodi, and thank you.